Hello, hello, little smokies. Happy Thursday. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. You know what it is. It's True Crime Thursday, and we got a lot to get into, so I hope you're ready for today's episode. Once again, sorry I'm starting a little bit late. I have had a really hectic past 2 days, to be really real with you. Usually my life is not this crazy IRL, but my mom goes, hey, she gives me a call last night. We were in the middle of watching Pineapple Express, and she's like, hey, I need you to do something. I'm thinking she's gonna ask me to, like, fix her Netflix. She's like, I need you to get your driver's license. Little old me? Little old Miss never wanted to drive? What do you mean I have to get my driver's license? So my mom is forcing me to go to driver's school at my big old age of 25, which is kind of embarrassing because I know for a fact it's literally just gonna be full of like teenagers there, right? Like I'm gonna pull up in this bitch and I'm gonna be like the only 25-year-old and I'm just gonna look hella out of place and it's fine. I guess I'm ready to hit it. What can I say? But I'm really nervous about driving. I've never really wanted to drive, so I don't know. Advice I guess I'll take. It's so scary. Like the thought of it not exciting. So guess I'm learning how to drive, guys. That's cool. Other than that, I went to the gym this morning. Then I had to go to like T-Mobile, do a bunch of shit. So the only reason I'm running late is because I was just running errands up until pretty much like right when I got home. Rescheduled it just a little bit so I'd have some time to like shower and stuff. Because after the gym, I had no time to shower. I was stuck being all sweaty at T-Mobile, which was hella uncomfortable because they kept us there for way long, you know. Exile said, you'll be surprised how many people are there. Also, no Twitch. I don't know why there was no Twitch. Something I did, probably. Couldn't tell you at the moment, but we'll have to check that out later. But let's go ahead and start getting into some of the stuff that I got for you guys today. Oh, Syke said I also don't drive. That makes me feel better. I guess I'm gonna be the driver now. Yay. So let's go ahead and get into everything that we got for today. So if you guys have never heard the case of Amy Bradley, honestly, I'll be a little bit surprised. Because this one's a bit more of a commonly known missing persons case. But what's not most commonly known a lot of the times is some of the interesting details that come out of this that lead to a lot of the theories. After the Netflix documentary came out, there was also an interview done by the brother of Amy Bradley, which also throws out a bit more theories and some interesting stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get into some of this today. If you guys have never seen a missing persons case before, it'll be really interesting. This is a good one to start with because it's a very well-known one, so there's a lot of information out there. It's a lot of years unsolved, though, to be noted. Lemonade. Syke said the guy at the DMV won't even let me try again. That's what I fear is gonna happen to me, to be real. So, honestly, respect to you. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into, like, the timeline of some of the events and what happened in this case. So, oh wait, before that, I missed something else really important. Before that, there were 2 donos before the stream even started. Forgot to hit those. Shout out to Fusion with the 1999 who said, sending in advance, I live for true crime stories. Thank you, thank you. And 666 Meg with the 10 who said, hey girly, here early because I'm working, but I'll definitely be tuning in on my way home from work. You are doing freaking fabulous. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, my Pookie. I can't wait to watch Love Island with you later. Alright. Now let's hit this. Barely said you're learning to drive. Hell yeah, I believe in you. Yeah, I'm nervous, but we'll see. So let's start this case off. So, Amy Lynn Bradley. She disappeared from the Royal Caribbean cruise ship Rhapsody of the Seas during a family vacation on March 24th, 1998. So this one is how many years old? 10, 20, almost 30 years old. It's like 28 years old. That's actually crazy thinking about it now. And despite all of the searches and numerous sightings supposedly of her over the years, her case is still a mystery to her family and investigators. There's been times before where they thought that they've had a lead and things have gone cold, and we'll talk about a lot of those theories today. So if you guys have heard some of her case and are not sure if you've heard everything, definitely stay tuned. So I'll give you guys a rough timeline to like go down everything that happened leading up to the night that she actually disappeared. Let me take the mic. March 21st, 1998. She was 23. She boarded the Rhapsody of the Seas in San Juan, Puerto Rico with her parents and her younger brother. She, on the 23rd, attended a party and danced with the ship's band crew member known as Yellow. Now, Yellow we're going to talk about a little bit later because he was somebody that was investigated. She returns to the cabin with her brother around 4 in the morning. March 24th, 1998. Around 5:30 in the morning, Amy's father saw her sleeping on the balcony of her cabin. Roughly 20 minutes later, he wakes up and he finds her gone. Her sandals were on the balcony, but her cigarettes, lighter, and cabin key card were missing. March 24th, 1998, in the morning, so like a couple hours later, because this when her father noticed that she was sleeping, but then that her sandals were there, she was sleeping at 4 in the morning. Her sandals were missing around 5:30, and then at 7 in the morning, her family notified the ship security. The ship searched, but port officials allowed the cruise to dock in Curacao. So, I will say, one thing that's very important to note about any missing persons case is that the first 24 to 48 hours are extremely crucial because of the fact that's your evidence is going to be there. The chances of finding, honestly, and it's just the easiest way to put it, somebody still alive are going to be within that time frame more than likely than later. The longer it is, they always say the less likely chance that you are going to find them alive, which is really unfortunate, right? So the first 24 to 48 hours are extremely crucial. So the fact that the cruise ship let the cruise dock, knowing they had a missing passenger, was absolutely wild. But they did. So then the Royal Caribbean crew kept conducting extensive searches leading up to the 30th. And the Dutch Coast Guard also searched the surrounding waters, finding no trace of Amy. The FBI also joined in the investigation. Throughout the years after her going missing, there's been multiple unconfirmed sightings of Amy. She's been reported in Curacao and Barbados, including allegedly encountering tourists where she appears to be in distress. Now, we'll get into some of those sightings and all of that. March 24th, 2010, Amy is declared legally dead and absentee, although her case file remains open with the FBI. Now, that's also something important to note because we're going to have to get into that also later because some of the handlings of the way that this case has gone have led to speculation of that is why it still is going unsolved to this day, if that makes sense. And then in present day, the FBI has an open tip line regarding information for her whereabouts, and her family continues to fight for her to be found, as long as they've been trying to get something called Amy's Alert put in place, similar to an Amber Alert, specifically for cruise ship disappearances. Sorry, I have to wet my whistle. So that'll give you a brief timeline of the case that we're covering today. We're going to get into some of the details. We're going to get into some of the theories and all that good shit. So, let's get into some of the detail of her being on the actual boat itself. Because that was just the brief timeline. There's some things missing that are also important.
I have no idea because I can't tell you the last time I had spaghetti.
Thank you.
I finally can use Google Pay again. You have been absolutely killing it on your streams. Loving the content. Keep up the hard work.
I wouldn't be anything without my team, including you, Mel, T-Bree, Amanda. I always miss people whenever I do this. Shout out if you're a fucking Polly Pocket member, because y'all kill it. Can I just be so for real? Like, all of you guys. Oh, Disco. Yeah, you guys do amazing work, so just, like, thank you. Because the teamwork on this shit, these streams, honestly, just get better and better because of you guys helping, so thank you. Really am grateful for you guys. Alright, so, let's get into this shit. So, March 21st through the 22nd in 1998. Amy, like I said, she boarded in San Juan, Puerto Rico with her family. It's important to know that they got a single cabin. Okay, so her parents were in like the same room with her pretty much. Her and her younger brother, they're all from what I understand that they were all on the same pull-out couch. So this room was not meant to be like, I guess necessarily for a family, but they made it work. So it says before leading up to her actually boarding that she recently adopted a bulldog named Daisy, moved into a new apartment, and was scheduled to start a new computer consulting job the Monday after the cruise. State of mind is something important to note in any missing person cases, because you know theories will run rampant, especially with something like a cruise disappearance, that maybe they went overboard on their own willing, you know? But people have noted that it seems like that is very unlikely because she had plans moving forward. She was happy about her life. And it even says that when the ship stopped in Aruba, that Amy had purchased souvenirs for friends, wrote postcards detailing her upcoming stop in Curacao, and carried 15 rolls of film to make a vacation photo collage. So it doesn't really seem like somebody who intended to not make it through the full vacation. You know what I mean? Like, not somebody who wanted to go out on their own terms. March 23rd, 1998, the night before the disappearance. The Bradley family ate dinner together in the main dining room before heading up to an onboard pool party. And around 1 a.m., Amy's parents go to sleep while Amy and Brad head to the ship's disco. Amy spends a significant portion of the night dancing and socializing with somebody named Alistair Yellow Douglas. So she knew him as Yellow, that's what everybody called him, but his real name is Alistair Douglas. He's a musician in the band Blue Orchid, specifically bass player. Brad left the club first. Ooh,
I have no idea because I can't tell you the last time I had spaghetti.
Good morning, peeps. True crime day, woohoo. Cruise ships are germ-infested petri dishes on a large scale. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji. _ Lil Smokey.
My mom was trying to convince me that we should go on a cruise one time, and I was like, look, I'm gonna convince you, like, if we're gonna do any vacation ever in our lives, we're going to, like, a resort. We are not going on a cruise, because we also don't know what the Wi-Fi situation is like out at sea. I don't know how that works, right? So what if something happens? Who can I call? Like, I don't know how that works. And I don't trust that. I'd rather be at a resort where they can guarantee me that their Wi-Fi is A1. Sammy said trapped at sea? No, exactly. What do you do if somebody touches you on the boat? What, are they going to throw them in the brig? I don't trust that. They're still there. Weird things, man. Like, I couldn't be on a boat trapped with the same amount of people for X amount of time. If it was like maybe like a short little 3-day cruise, like that's like one of those in America cruises, maybe I could hit that. But even then, I hear stuff like this, and it's just like, you never know, man. You really never know. Yeah, the poop cruise incident. You could think you're going on the cruise for 2 days. You get on the cruise, and now you're on there for fucking like a year because everybody's got some like weird poop infestation disease, and you just can't help it. So, just to be noted, careful for your cruises. Always book cautiously. All right, so the night at the nightclub. So Brad was the first person to return to the cabin. He entered the family cabin at 3:35 in the morning. Amy followed 5 minutes behind at 3:40 a.m. The siblings both were out on the cabin balcony talking for 30 minutes before Brad went to sleep. Now, the actual morning of the disappearance, at 5:30 a.m., Ron Bradley wakes up, looks out the balcony, and he sees Amy's legs resting on the lounge chair. Knowing she is safely back, he went back to sleep. Like we said before, so the same timeline. So she got back, and within an hour and a half, she's passed out on this lounge chair. Supposedly was seen, at least her legs, by the father. Around the same time, the ship is actively maneuvering past the Queen's Juliana's Bridge to dock to Willemstad, Curacao. So they hadn't docked yet, but they were close to it, okay? Important to know. Now, between 5 and 6 in the morning, there was a contested sighting. Now, we're going to get a little bit more into this later, but I need to, like, put this in for now before we get into some of the theories so that you kind of, like, get, like, the detailed version. A fellow passenger said that she told investigators that she saw Amy and Yellow riding the elevator together towards the top deck in between 5 to 6 a.m. Then she says she saw Douglas walking back alone 15 minutes later. But Douglas claims he went to bed at 1 in the morning. So we'll get into his story in a second here. We just got to run through the rest. Then at 6 a.m., Ron Bradley, which is the father, wakes up again, sees the balcony completely empty. That's when he noticed the sandals gone. Her cigarettes, or the sandals there, but the cigarettes gone, key card gone, her lighter gone. And he went up to the deck initially to look for her, and he didn't see her there. And then at 6:30 to 7 a.m., the ship finished docking procedures, but desperate to keep passengers from leaving before a thorough search was conducted, the family had begged the crew to not lower the passageway for people to leave. But the crew refused, citing that Amy is an adult and has only been missing for a short period of time, so they let everybody disembark before actually having officially started a serious search for her missing. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the theories and whatnot. Who could potentially be involved? What's been said? We'll actually look at some of the interview where her brother talks about some of his experience on the cruise. And I want to know what you guys think by the end of this. What you think may have happened. Because there's a likely story somewhere. There's so many theories. So we'll get into it. Starting with Yellow. So the FBI had actually looked into Alistair Douglas, who's also known as Yellow. He, like I said, was the bass player for the ship's band Blue Orchid. So the reason that he was investigated so heavily is because the Bradley family is been one of the people pushing for an investigation on him specifically, probably more than anyone, I'd say. They have been very leading into that they think that he had something to do with it. Now, so the cruise ship videographers had captured footage of Amy and Douglas dancing in the ship's disco hours before she vanished, right? But the FBI also questioned Yellow shortly after the disappearance. He took a polygraph test, and the cruise line person or cruise line spokesperson claimed that he passed the polygraph test, but it was revealed later that the polygraph was actually inconclusive. So that is a little weird discrepancy to kind of put out there, saying that he had passed this when, matter of fact, there was no determined results. Then, Amy's brother, Brad, said a highly suspicious encounter happened with Douglas shortly after Amy went missing. Before any ship-wide official announcement had been made, Douglas had approached Brad and said, "Hey man, I'm sorry to hear about your sister." Which might not seem that strange, but okay. It's not like she was announced dead. It's not like she had even been announced missing. Yeah, maybe it would have gotten through to the crew, so you could kind of explain it away that way. But to say it so, like, as if other people knew, was strange. Oh, excuse me. No. There is a docu-series about this. I believe there's actually more than one, if I'm correct. But specifically, what is the name of it? It's like, ooh, I had it written down and then I fucking deleted it because I was like, I don't need it. I'll remember it. Amy Bradley. Amy Bradley is missing. That's why I thought I'd remember it. Because the documentary is literally called Amy Bradley is Missing. I'm a little silly. Excuse my pea brain. Anyways, so in the docuseries, Amy Bradley is missing. Douglas's daughter, Amika Douglas, which is Yellow, by the way. So Yellow's daughter, Amika Douglas, confronted him on camera, revealing her own doubts and asking him about unconfirmed rumors that he was seen with Amy on a beach months after the disappearance. He denied these allegations, stating he doesn't even like the beach. That's believable enough to me, right? Seems like it checks out to you guys, huh? You think he's good? He's unscathed? How do you feel about it? Chili said it's really weird that they were told that someone on board was missing, and instead of doing a check before disembarking, they just went ahead and disembarked. It's a missing passenger, adult or not. It also would make sense to me to at least, like, okay, say you're gonna let everybody disembark. This is the thing that's never made sense to me, unless it was potentially someone on the crew or related, or someone on the crew was paid to take part in whatever took part. Because why would they not set up, like, a checkpoint? Like, you know how, like, when they're looking for a specific car and those police will set up, like, those, like, checkpoints before you can drive through and you have to get, like, stopped if you fit, like, a certain build or whatever? Why didn't they just set up something like that, exiting the cruise, leading on to Curacao, to stop any potential nefarious... Like, it feels like it was mishandled just so poorly to the point that, of course, it's gonna get called out. Sammy said, I don't even like the beach. You have no other alibi, LOL. That's a good point. That is an absolutely good point. But also, to be fair, a lot of these eyewitness testimonies, it's not like they're coming with, like, pictures or anything. It's like, let's say he really does have nothing to do with it. He did happen to dance with her that night. This is all just some weird coincidence that he danced with her, she went missing the next day, and now people are saying that they saw him on a beach with her years later. He's got no proof that he was doing anything else that day, because this was years ago, and his daughter's pressing him about it, like, years after the fact. So he's just like, well, I don't really like the beach. Thought you knew I didn't like the beach. That's the only thing I'm thinking, but also it's hard to understand with cases like this. But that's actually not the only theory. Hold on, let me slide up to this because I got a couple pages here, some stuff. Beep boop 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 boop. Okay, yeah. So that was actually not the only theory that came out that night as well. Something that I forgot to go and know as well, before even getting into the aspect of some of the theories that happened after, is some of what has been called as stalking beforehand. Okay, so it says that there was hyper-focused attention from the dining wait staff during the formal dinner on Monday evening of March 23rd, which would be the night before the disappearance. Professional portraits were taken of Amy Bradley that night, were missing from the public gallery display racks before the family could purchase them. That is something hella strange. Absolutely hella strange that happened the night before. Then there was also a conduct breach where it said that head dining waiter approached Ron and Eva Bradley at a public bar. Thank you. Keep it in the fridge for me. He got me a parfait. At a public bar and violated standard staff protocol by explicitly demanding to know Amy Bradley's precise physical location under the claim that crew members intended to transport her to an off-vessel nightclub. Strange shit. Absolutely strange shit. Sorry, I got a fucking thing. The special delivery from S1K, absolutely. Big Porky said you have like a ship ID where you sign off the boat. You have to disembark, at least on the cruise I was on. Well, that's something that I believe that they started putting in place after things like this were happening. I don't think that was always there, because remember, this happened back in 1998. This is almost 30 years old now. So a lot of laws have changed as far as going on cruises. I believe things are a bit more safe, but to be noted. All right, so then this is another one. Oh my god. This is one of the weirdest fucking things that has happened that apparently has not been investigated, like pretty much at all, by any investigators. So one of the biggest problems in this case, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit in time, is that when the case kind of went cold, obviously people moved through departments, and over the course of 30 years, the person in charge of that case is going to switch and switch and switch and switch. So the person, every time there's like a new lead detective on the case, they never look into this one sighting, which is really interesting. So a 45-minute pool deck conversation happened between Amy Bradley and two unidentified black women in matching naval-style uniforms. They say that the uniform structure matched Scientology's Sea Org division. Port records, though, show that the Sea Org vessel, the Free Winds, was actually directly adjacent to the Rhapsody of the Sea in Curacao that exact morning. Let me pull this up, because this is something that is talked about actually quite a bit by her brother himself. This is actually the main theory that is pushed by the brother. So let's go ahead and get into the first clip I want to show you guys today, which is him talking about this. Ba-bow. Oh shit, we got Melissa Duncan with the One Hot Dog Gang gifted member. Thank you, thank you. What the hell was that? The cat? Huh? Okay. It sounded like one of the cats just like fell all the way down the stairs. Sorry, it was hell distracting.
Of some sort. You remember the two African-American, I don't know if they're American, two black ladies that Amy was talking to in the matching uniforms on the boat the night before?
Yes.
So we were previously told by an FBI agent named Carrie Gleischer that we know who those women are. They refused to ever tell us who they were. The new agent, when they were recently...
Did you guys hear that lightning? Sorry, I'm getting absolutely frightened all around.
Women are. They refused to ever tell us who they were. the new agent, when they were recently having a conversation with our investigator, said what to black women.
Mm.
So,
and this is something that it's not only something he said, but you will see in multiple reports of this that like private investigators alike have reported that they have gotten the same thing from the official police investigators from the case, that they are not in the know of all of the information. And I mean, I'm not trying to ever like discredit like his like points, or because he's obviously like the family, like it's something I'd be like grief stricken with for life if I lost my sibling in that manner. But it's hard to say that it's necessarily like the police's fault, because it is such a long going case. It's almost 30 years long. So to be very heavily in the know about it, if it's constantly shuffling through people in the department, it's more, honestly, you know what it is? It's on the department that's handling it, the entire department itself, that keeps shuffling it to the new lead investigator, not on the investigator.
you know, you have a new agent coming in that has no idea, 27 years worth of information he's got to learn. And I guess that would be true if a new team took the case anyway. Everybody would have to kind of start from the beginning. And we hope that that's, something that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting that they're putting a new agent on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Why not just give it to a whole, like, I think in his mind, like, at least if they're, instead of just putting a new agent on it, just give the case a whole new fresh set of eyes. Give it to a different department. Give it to somebody else who might actually be willing to work with the case. Because it has always been with the same, I guess, like, county. I don't really know what you call it. I keep saying department, but I don't really know what you would call it. The same set of people, like, same organization is handling it, right? But they keep giving like a different case assignment to like a different lead investigator. So it just shuffles through. And this is not the first time where he's talked about them getting a new investigator. It's happened multiple times in the course of the 28 years that this case has been ongoing. Now, let's go ahead and keep getting into some of the theories, because that's not all. There's quite a bit. Like, there's quite a bit. Now, something that has been talked about with the Sea Org theory, because he gets into it, he brings up the fact that it's not really been covered. It was said that researching during the Caribbean region years later, Brad realized that the Church of Scientology operates its own cruise ship, the Free Winds, which was the one that was docked right next to them. So that was not something he had realized at the time. After he was putting the pieces together about some of the things he had seen over the year, that's when he came back to this realization that he remembered seeing that. Now, the uniform comparison has strongly been attributed to being a member of the Sea Org, which, if you don't know what the Sea Org is, I strongly recommend that you go check out the cult iceberg that I did and just like skip to the Scientology portion of it, because it's a bit of a long-winded explanation and I go very in depth into what the Sea Org is in that video, and it would take you like probably like 3 to 5 minutes to go watch that and then just pop back and catch back up from where you're at, I really recommend it that way just because I go so in depth with the Sea Org there. But it has been theorized by Brad that these women may have been Sea Org recruiters who have convinced Amy to leave her ship the next morning for a tour of the Free Winds, only for Amy to be held aboard their ship against her will. Now, this theory has fallen apart, apparently through FBI investigation. So the FBI evaluated the timeline and the geographical proximity of the ships, but found zero evidence linking Scientology or the Free Winds to Amy. They formally ruled out the avenue very early in the investigation, which, if you remember me pointing out, makes absolutely zero sense that they ruled that out. Why? Because it was proven that the Free Winds was docked adjacently to the Rhapsody of the Seas, which is the ship Amy was on. So for the FBI to rule that out, to say that there's no geographical evidence when there literally is kind of wild. Actually crazy. Like, how did the FBI not figure that out? But everybody else did. A little strange. Anywho, then there was independent Scientology researchers and experts from the Sea Org, or on the Sea Org, that reviewed Brad's theory, and they noted that Sea Org members do not target or kidnap random American tourists off commercial cruise lines for forced labor, as it would invite massive international federal investigations. Just want to point out, if they were doing that, they would just absolutely say, yeah, we don't do that. Like, why would they admit to that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Kind of a little foolish, but also, after speaking with former Scientology members and experts who educated him on the inner workings of the organization, Brad has actually publicly withdrawn his claims. He acknowledged that he did not have much evidence to go on and that his theory was born out of profound desperation to find any leads that might explain his sister's disappearance. Was it that they had nothing to do with it and they convinced him? Or did they get to him? No, I'm just joking. We actually don't know. It's hard to say what it could be with that, but he has since recanted and said that that is no longer his leading theory, but there is still people that run with that theory rampantly online and believe that Scientology is heavily involved. Also, thank you, Exile Warrior, for sending 380 jewels with a little fortune cookie. No. There's more. Oh boy, there's so much more. So, beep, 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 beep. After leaving the boat, another major theory. Well, actually, let me go back. Let me make sure we hit, let's hit all the stuff that happened on the boat first, because I think that'll make a little more sense. Because we talked about the stolen photos, right? Also, we talked about the family dinner, where they talked about, Amy getting all of that attention. So what was said specifically when the waiter leaned in? He said that he asked Ron if he could take Amy out to Carlos and Charlie's, which is a notorious party bar, once the ship docked in Curacao. Okay, so this was in Curacao. Ron said no, but the interaction felt really strange to the family in hindsight, and they questioned how the waiter even knew who Amy was, given that she was sharing a room with her brother and her parents. She also probably did not necessarily appear like a single woman. So they thought it was very strange that this waiter was approaching them with that offer. So I just wanted to be very clear exactly what he was asking. It wasn't like he was asking her to attend a party on the cruise ship. He was asking for when they docked the next day in Curacao, if he had permission to take her to Carlos and Charlie's, which was a known party bar on the island. All right. Another really strange thing. True crime researchers and the family have both highlighted that the cruise ship logistics gave staff easy access to Amy's movements. Whenever Amy ordered a drink or engaged in activity, her onboard key card had been scanned. This system automatically pulls up not only her full name, her exact cabin number, but it also shows up like the area of where she bought that, right? So let's say you're on a cruise ship and you got like an unlimited drink package or whatever, which is kind of what it sounds like she has. So she pays with this key card. So let's say she goes and she gets a drink in the kitchen with her key card. The person that's ringing her up will see her full name, her cabin number, and so any other staff that looks up any transactions that she makes on the boat can also see that she made that purchase in the kitchen. So not just the person checking her out gets that information, but the other staff on the boat as well. It's like an entire system that keeps track of all the purchases that you do, the location of them, and your name and room number. And it's to kind of just keep track of like a tab. It's like similarly to when you get a tab at a bar. But the problem with that is because the parents were saying they were already getting weird vibes from the staff towards Amy, especially with that one interaction that happened the night before. And this would make it incredibly easy for that specific interested staff member to map out exactly where she slept, and not only just where she slept, but where she would frequent her time. So let's say a guy from the boat, because she had been on the boat for a little bit of time. It was not, I think it was a couple days before she officially went missing. Because she, wait, let me get the exact amount of time. Because they boarded, beep, beep, boop. They boarded on, what the frick was the day? Oh, March 21st. Yeah, they boarded on March 21st. And she went missing on the 24th. So they would have had 2 to 3 days to kind of like watch her, track where she was going, what she was doing, to kind of get an idea of like where she frequented. They could see where she was frequently. Let's say she only went to one bar on the cruise ship. They would know that in the 3 days because she would be kind of showing patterns, habits, etc. You know what I'm saying? So Chili said, cruises are so creepy to me. Absolutely. But a lot of hotels operate the same way, so like resorts, but the difference is you can call the police and they'll show up. You don't gotta wait for them to show up on a boat. I don't even know how you call the police out at sea. That's crazy to think about. Also, thank you, Danny Midnight, for the finger heart for 350 jewels and Exile for the gold coins. Much appreciated. Okay. Another thing, so the Bradley family and private investigators alike have also said that these events, like all make them kind of believe that Amy did not accidentally fall overboard, but was instead marked by crew members. And her falling overboard has been one of the most pushed scenarios that likely happened because of the fact that she was never found. It's just probably the easiest way to explain away a situation like this is to say that she fell overboard. And I could understand anybody out there who believes that theory. Like, if you don't want to sit there and speculate on all the little things that happened and it's hard to think about every little thing, I get it. Like, it absolutely would make sense to anybody. So, but they said that they believe that the waitstaff's hyperfixation was a grooming phase to access her vulnerabilities, to figure out the exact cabin location, and not only that, to coordinate with local procurers in Curacao to potentially drug her and take her off the ship for you-know-what. The theory has also gained traction since the docuseries has come out, when a former bartender from Rhapsody of the Seas came forward to authorities, and she claimed that on the night that Amy vanished, she actively tried to alert ship security that a female passenger was being taken, but her warnings were completely dismissed by supervisors. It is 28 years later, and that's the first time we're hearing about that, by the way. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely crazy. Now, let's get into what happened with this investigation and why it was handled the way that it was, or what exactly happened. Because like I said, they let everybody off the ship. It's very clear that wherever she was, all the evidence was pretty easily swept away, right? So when the ship docked, it was around 6 in the morning, and the family had begged to, basically what it was called is a gangway, which is like a big like bridge thing that like lets everybody over. So they asked them to hold the gangway and keep the passengers on the ship until the search can be conducted. The cruise line said no. Everybody went off the ship. So if she was potentially drugged or coerced, this window would give the exact opportunity to take her off the ship without anybody noticing, because there's a giant barrage of passengers all coming off at once. So nobody's going to notice a woman who might look a little bit sick. Maybe she's just seasick. No one's going to really think about that. You know what I'm saying? Then the family cabin, specifically where Amy was sleeping, was the last known location of the missing person, and which should have been treated as a crime scene, but they didn't even seal the room whatsoever for forensic testing. They didn't do fingerprinting or DNA collection, and ship staff had allowed the cabin to be accessed like normal. So by the time they get to a point where things are supposed to be investigated by the FBI, any potential crime scene has been entirely tainted. The balcony and the room eventually were cleaned and scrubbed by cabin stewardess before law enforcement or forensics could even get in there. So there was no evaluation for drugs, no evaluation for third-party DNA, no evaluation for any signs of a struggle, no evaluation for any cause, nothing. Okay? They literally let these staff come in and clean the cabin before they let forensic evidence or forensic investigators come in and collect evidence. How insane. How poorly handled. Crazy to say. Then, a comprehensive shipwide public announcement paging Amy wasn't even made until hours after she was reported missing. Okay. They literally say that they relied on visual checks from the public areas rather than even doing a systematic room-by-room search. So they had no effort put into finding her whatsoever. They didn't put an announcement out. They didn't even have staff regularly, like, actively searching for her on the boat. It was like they told people that were on there, hey, there's someone. If you see her, just let us know, kind of thing. They weren't even telling anyone but the staff. So it would be like, let's say, like, the guy at the bar. It's not like he's looking around the room for her. It's like, oh, if you see her come up, just give us a ring kind of thing. Like, that's crazy. Absolutely terribly mistreated. And the worst part of it all, if you know how ships are, one of the said to be most dangerous areas of a ship is anywhere where it's like engine rooms or potential maintenance spaces, because ship equipment and all the like big engine stuff that they got going down there, scary, deadly. If you don't know what you're doing and you slip and you go in the wrong place, no bueno. None of those areas were ever done as a search until forensic came onto the boat. None of the staff, nobody from the ship checked any of the maintenance employee areas until forensic investigators came onto the boat. Crazy. Then, that's not it. The cruise line said that they wanted to keep their vacation schedule going like normal. So internal questioning of suspicious crew members was kept brief, and that Yellow and other wait staff who had targeted Amy were questioned by ship security, but there was no physical evidence leading them to anything, so they were allowed to completely return to duty, and the ship just went on. So anyone that was seen with Amy, talking to Amy, potentially had something to do with her the night before the disappearance, anything like that, it was a brief kind of, what'd you have to do with it, man? Nothing? All right, you're good to go. Kind of thing. And then they were sent back to work on the ship with all these passengers. Still crazy, absolutely insane. Then, the earliest hours of the investigation, the Royal Caribbean executives publicly pushed a narrative that that Amy had fallen overboard or herself, and the family said that this assumption was very clearly a way to push people away from finding the truth. It was a shield, and they don't want to have to admit that there was potential of security breach, crime, or a trafficking situation that they were not expecting. Because let's be honest, if Royal Caribbean admits that they think it was anything other than her going overboard, they could potentially be sued by the family for how crazy of a security breach that is. Like, that's something wild. Like, insane to think about. Now, some of the theories as well, like, there's a lot of stuff that people talk about that happened afterwards. Like, there's been sightings of her as well. Let me head over here, because there's also something, there was something about the cruise director specifically. Oh, here it is. Thank you. Found it. So on the onboard master video editor, Steve Smith, confirmed on record that on the morning of March 24th, 1998, he was ordered directly by the vessel cruise director to go into the editing bay and manually scrub and edit out and destroy all master video logs capturing Amy Bradley's interaction with any crew elements. So not only were they barely even investigating the crew members that were interacting with her, it was said for them to delete any evidence that they had. So there could potentially be crew members that maybe FBI had not even considered because nobody realizes that they were interacting with Amy. Like, it didn't happen in a way where people had seen it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was all happening very late at night. So who's to say they weren't in a lone hallway or something interacting, and that's why the cameras were scrubbed? Like, there's so many potential theories. Then there was also a signed legal document that admits that the search team completely skipped over all the private passenger cabins, all of the crew cabins, and restricted inspections to public locker bays and restrooms. So it wasn't just the engine rooms that were missed. It wasn't just the balcony, the last place she was seen, that was missed. All of the public rooms, all of the cabins, every cabin, crew cabin, family cabin, anyone's cabin, restrooms, everywhere was basically prohibited from being searched by the cruise line staff. This is so insane to think. Now, they not only, because remember how I pointed out the fact that they said that they wouldn't even do a search, that the family was asking them to hold the gangways? They also had asked them to just check the departing luggage, and they said no. They asked them to just use the emergency loudspeakers to let people know, to be aware. And Royal Caribbean executives told them no. Absolutely crazy. And you want to know how long it took them to actually put out that loudspeaker broadcast? 36 to 48 hours after she went missing. In that time frame is the first time when the loudspeaker broadcast was put out. Absolutely insane. Crazy. It's just like, could you imagine being in the family in that moment? Like, what would you think? I mean, we can see. He talks about it.
That I think is important for everybody to realize that she disappeared in. We're not in the middle of the ocean. Mm-hmm. We're at Curacao. Mm-hmm. And she's like, please don't let anybody off. Like, shut everything down. We got to find our daughter. We can't find her. And they say, we're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. So please make an announcement. Go over the loudspeaker. Let everybody know that we can't find Amy, and everybody, keep a lookout for her. We're not going to do that. It would disturb the other passengers.
They're asking for just normal things. What's disturbing? That you would just let somebody on your ship go missing and not have any sort of urgency to look for them. That's what's really disturbing. I don't know how anyone sails with them, like, these days, knowing this happened. I guess people probably don't know the full extent, right?
So, okay. So I think it was probably 36 to 48 hours later, could be wrong on that time frame, where they made a general announcement, Amy Bradley, please come to the purser's
Wait,
desk.
that long?
I believe it was. I don't know, the initial, take it back. The initial page that they made was, Amy Bradley, please come to the purser's desk.
Right.
Amy Bradley, please come to the purser's desk. What I think they wouldn't do is
Alarm anyone.
make the passengers aware that there was a missing person or put pictures of Amy out, which they later did.
So they were like doing that kind of thing that they do in Kohl's, right? Let's say like a child loses their mom and the child runs up to the customer service desk and they're like, hey, can you find my mommy? And they kind of do that whole, oh, this person, can you come to the desk? They were doing that, but they had never let anybody know that she was missing. So it'd be like, there'd be like a periodic maybe announcement, like say every 6 hours, whatever. Like, hey, can you come to the desk? But beyond that, no one's thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely insane.
2 days later.
Right.
Because they didn't want to disrupt other people's good time. So they instructed us, go back to your room. We'll come to you. Captain comes to our ship later and, assured us that they had done a complete search of the boat. Quote unquote, anything bigger than a bread box was searched, which we later found not to be true. They searched restrooms and public areas and electrical closets and some things like that, but not all the crew's cabins or the passengers' cabins or anything to that degree. But they convinced us that there had been a proper search done. They had confirmed that she was not on the ship and that it was their suggestion that we get off on Curacao because there was an ongoing water search in the canal at the mouth of the island where the canal starts. They had scuba divers and boats with radar and planes and helicopters, and even the ships, right outside the island were doing these grid patterns, searching every inch of the water. And they said, if Amy's found in the water, you want to be there. So we said, well, yeah, okay. So we got off the boat. The president of my dad's company at the time and his wife were there, and they got off the boat with us.
Which is also wild to think, because it's like, it feels like no matter what, this situation was just handled crazily. It feels like not only should, like, I understand all these people have to get back, but they should have, like, had, if they were going to have everybody disembark the way they did, they should have had literally everybody disembark. Have the FBI come and search the boat. Maybe people got to stay an extra week in Curacao. That sucks, but there's somebody missing. Like, you know what I'm saying? It is crazy. Like, it's just, and I understand that they're like, oh, we're not trying to inconvenience other people. You ruined this family's lives by not even helping conduct just a proper, like, I feel like there could be some sense of peace with them if, like, let's say the investigation was done properly and then nothing came up, right? It was just like nothing was found, because there is times where that does happen. There is missing person cases where everything was done right by police and they just were not found. That could at least bring the family like some sense of peace, like maybe, like, I feel like they're not like a sense of guilt, but there's like a sense of like something looming over your head, like there was more that could have been done, not even by them, but by the other people. And they were just let down by the forces and the powers that may be, because they don't have control to search other people's rooms. They don't have control to put those announcements out there. So, I don't know.
To help us. We were in no condition to handle a whole lot or make decisions or figure out what to do. So they, got us a room in this hotel on the waterway.
Where you were just waiting for information and people to communicate with you.
Yeah, we were calling family. My mom was on the phone with her brother trying to get the FBI involved and to get them on the ship, and which my uncle facilitated, by the way, and I'll get into when that happened later. It was a bad scene.
Yeah,
there
I'm
was
sure.
a lot of crying. My dad was so upset he was throwing up and vomiting blood at one point. He was not in good shape. Mom was in a fetal position on the bed.
Oh.
We contacted my girlfriend at the time, Erin, who's in the documentary, and let her know what happened. And we're kind of just talking to the family, who I think by that time had all convened at the house.
It's just like this whole family is like torn apart and like totally like ripped up by things. It's absolutely crazy to say. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Then there's more to get into. Don't worry, we're not done. Here, let me scroll down a little bit. So we're going to get into some of the sightings that happened after the fact of her being missing. So we've known the mishandlings, we've known now like some of the theories of what could have potentially happened the night of. So let's hear the theories that could potentially leave the family either hopeful or at least hoping she's alive. So here's the Curacao sighting. So on the morning of March 24th, a local taxi driver of 1998, let me be clear, a local taxi driver reported a barefoot woman matching Amy's descriptions frantically banging on his window near the port, looking for an open telephone, and that she fled after looking over her shoulder in a panic. That's all we got from that one. Then, weeks after her disappearance, Brad, Ron, and their uncle were stopped at a red light next to an island Subway restaurant when Brad registers Amy's voice distinctly screaming his name, Brad, from a turning car, triggering a high-speed mountain road chase that lost the vehicle. So, potential sighting from the family themselves of her on Curacao, or heard the name. Maybe not. It could have just been they, in a grief moment, you know, and then it led to a chase, which, like, if someone's chasing you, you're probably going to run. So, that's a tough one. Then there was the beach sighting that happened in August of 1999, which is 5 months after her being missing. A Canadian tourist and a professional diver, David Carmichael, witnessed a distraught woman matching Amy's physical appearance and tattoos being strictly controlled by two men on a remote beach, and the woman attempted a sharp 90-degree turn to approach Carmichael before being physically redirected. Carmichael had later identified Yellow on the record as one of her handlers. So when the daughter of Yellow, Amika, questioned him about this beach situation, this is the supposed sighting that it was from this Canadian tourist, David Carmichael. And it is a little interesting that he identified both Amy, potentially, and Yellow in this. Now, in January of 1999, 10 months after vanishing, an American Navy sailor, William Hefner, apparently went to a brothel. Now, I've got a very detailed story on this. Let me grab, because this one's on a different page. Okay. So, his name was Bill Hefner, or Will Hefner, goes by both. Anyways, so he visited an upscale legal brothel called Campo Alegre. I'm going to write that in the chat because I don't speak Spanish. And I probably just butchered the fuck out of whatever this is. Campo Alegre. Balende. Sorry. And this was close to the shore. Hefner stated that a young woman approached him inside the establishment and that she was looking frightened, and explicitly told him that her name was Amy Bradley. And according to Hefner, the woman grabbed his arm and begged for his help and told him that she was not allowed to leave the brothel. Before Hefner could fully comprehend or react to the situation, two unidentified men moved in, broke up the interaction, and forcefully escorted the woman away into the back room. This lead was severely compromised, though, because Hefner did not report it to the authorities until 14 months after it happened, which means that it would have been over a year past her initial disappearance. Probably 2 years passed from her initial disappearance before he actually reported it. So it, of course, leaves a lot of questions, and things cannot really be investigated at all, you know? Now, there's, I believe, one more. I'm gonna head back over here. Sorry, I got things in a bunch of different places. And then Yellow's cabin roommate, Oscar Alexander, broke a 27-year silence to claim that they were asleep by 1 a.m. but that security aggressively raided their cabin for Amy between 3 to 4 a.m. Keycard logs prove Yellow didn't swipe in until 3:35 a.m. and security could not search for a passenger who wasn't discovered missing until 6 in the morning. So that's another important thing to note. Now, boop, 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 boop. Sorry, I got, like I said, stuff on different pages. Those are not the only theories around her missing. It is not just those particular sightings. Now, this next theory I'm going to get into is one of the highly regarded to be the most likely theory. Now, I need to pull up a photo for this to show you guys what I'm gonna talk about here. There's actually a couple photos, so let me get them ready to go. Okay. All right, so there was some photos that were sent to the family. In 2005, the family had received an anonymous email containing these photos from an adult escort website based in the Caribbean. The photos depicted a woman under the pseudonym Jazz lying on a bed in her underwear. Now, I'm just going to show you guys the facial versions of these photos. Here is one of the photos that was seen. Here is another one of the photos that was seen from this escort website. Now, there is some interesting things about this, though, that do need to be pointed out. When evaluated by FBI facial recognition experts, they concluded that the physical features, including the nose, chin, and facial structure, showed a perfect match to Amy Bradley. However, the website's IP address could never be successfully traced, preventing law enforcement from pinning down her physical location. Oh shit. 1 second. Let me just do one thing. Okay. And then there was an expert who came in and said that the match was so definitive that the lead FBI intelligence analyst stated that he was willing to stake his entire federal career on the fact that Jazz and Amy Bradley were the exact same person without a doubt. But when independent investigators upscaled and reviewed the full suite and promotional photos from the Jazz set, they noted that the woman's exposed skin, significantly her shoulder blades, midriff, and pelvic regions, appeared completely clear of body art, but Amy Bradley had 4 highly distinct tattoos, including a Tasmanian devil spinning a basketball on her shoulder, a sun on her lower back, a gecko on her navel, and a Chinese symbol on her ankle. This discrepancy has made researchers completely divide in whether or not these photos are legitimate or not. Some believe this was a look-alike or a stock photo of an adult film star used by the site as a bait and switch. The family and the FBI have countered, saying that they believe that traffickers use heavy cosmetic concealer, professional airbrushing, or potentially digital altering to mask a high-profile victim, identifying victim's identifying marks, so that law enforcement internationally would not be tipped off. Does that make sense? Yep, like Jessica Jingle said, tattoos can be covered, so to be noted. Oh, excuse me. Now, ooh, let me scroll. This once again, is not even the last theory. There is one more. So the Barbados sightings is what we got to get into. In March 2005, there was a Canadian tourist named Judy Maurer who was on a Caribbean cruise at the time that docked in Bridgetown, Barbados. Maurer had never heard of Amy Bradley at the time, she says, but experienced a series of highly disturbing interactions on Broad Street. She first noticed a distressed woman on an elevated ramp inside a souvenir shop being closely watched by several men. One man was actively stationed outside keeping guard. Maurer noticed that the woman was intensely staring at her and listening to her conversations. Shortly after, Maurer went into a public restroom inside a nearby department store. When she was inside, she heard a group of men who were aggressively trying to enter the woman's restroom. They cornered the woman once getting inside, telling her a deal was imminent and demanding that she better be on time. She overheard the woman asking the man, "Can we stop and see the children?" suggesting she may have had children while in captivity who were being kept away from her. Once the men temporarily backed out of the restroom, Maurer exited her stall and approached the visibly emotional woman at the sink, and when Maurer asked if she was okay, the woman softly stated her name was Amy and that she was from Virginia, matching Amy Bradley's actual name and home state. Before Maurer could offer assistance, the men re-entered the restroom, surrounded the woman, and forcefully dragged her out into the sidewalk. She immediately told her husband that girl is being forced to do something, but it wasn't until later that she saw Amy's face on Dr. Phil TV special that she realized who the woman was and contacted the FBI. So a lot of these sightings, like I'm saying, it's hard to prove, right? A lot of them have been said to be years later. It's hard to know if you're remembering it correctly also. So I wouldn't take all of these as being 100%, but there's a couple more. Following the report from Maurer, investigators had mapped out the woman's movements that day, and it was determined that this Amy had actually been spotted 3 separate times in Bridgetown on March 1st, 2005. Separate witnesses recalled seeing a woman matching her exact description standing in a cash register line at the Del Sol store on Broad Street, inside the restroom, and walking a block away, each time completely flanked and tightly surrounded by 4 male handlers. The Barbados connection took a highly technical turn, though, as highlighted in the 2025 Netflix documentary, when an online investigator who launched the official case tracking the website discovered a haunting pattern of activity. Every single year, specifically on Christmas and Thanksgiving, a mystery user logs onto the website's forum. Through the geolocation tracking, investigators traced the specific reoccurring hits back to an IP address originating from a device or a boat off the west end of Bridgetown, Barbados. So, basically what this is saying is there is a forum that is for Amy, since she's been missing, that every year on Christmas and Thanksgiving is logged into specifically in Bridgetown, Barbados, where these sightings supposedly occurred, which is a bit strange. And then, people say that because of drug running and trafficking being deeply intertwined in that region, that the FBI considers this digital footprint highly suspicious, and that investigators suspect that it could be someone close to the network or potentially herself monitoring the family's search efforts on major holidays. So I believe they're looking into that theory actively at the moment, but that did come out in 2025. 27 years later. So just so you know, missing cases, just because they have been missing for a long time, doesn't mean they don't get solved. Let me see. Did I miss anything else from this page? I don't believe so. Nope. Okay. Let me head back over here. Did anybody have any other questions that they wanted to ask before I get into the next thing, which is me basically talking about where things are currently at? And that being that the FBI has been blocking all of the Freedom of Information Act requests by keeping the files for this case classified, by keeping the case open and pending. Internal evidence shows a lack of active investigation, like I said, with a continuous rotation of lead agents who demonstrate zero knowledge at all on the case, specifically the identity logs of the uniformed pool deck women. Modern cyber forensics analysis tracked coordinated disinformation campaigns targeting the family's public groups, uncovering a critical tracking marker. The top suspect defense troll account utilizes a distinct, rare regional dialect and spelling for mother, geographically unique to Grenada and select Caribbean islands, the native home turf and domain of the original suspect circle. Permanent physical markers active in tracking databases are a prominent, highly stylized lizard tattoo, the Tasmanian tattoo I was telling you guys about before, the jagged linear scar that runs down her left shin bone, and a genetic bone curvature anomaly where both baby pinky fingers curve sharply inward toward her ring fingers, and striking bright green eyes. Amanda said most missing people are found in submerged vehicles. The number of people who drive into water is insane. That is actually a really surprisingly scary statistic that she's not wrong on at all. It also says that the family is currently trying to get public attention to lobby for 3 different structural changes to maritime law. Specifically, Amy's alerts, the one I talked about before, would be an Amber-style alert for missing persons pushed to every passenger phone instantly with a mandatory lock on docking gangways, obviously for people who went missing on cruises. Independent marshals, which would be placing independent federal law enforcement marshals on commercial vessels to remove private corporate security conflicts of interest. And the sovereign flag mandate, which is forcing any cruise line company headquartered inside the U.S. to fly the American flag, stripping them of the ability to use foreign registrations to intentionally evade U.S. criminal investigations. Because one of the biggest things that's happened in this case as well is because this happened in Curacao is the laws for like what they can do and what they can investigate are entirely different than what they are in America. So honestly, I think if this case was handled under American laws, it would have probably been solved by now, to be real. It's very sad. But does anybody have any questions or anything you wanted to ask? That's pretty much the gist of where everything's at for right now. We've got the current day updates and the things that they're actively investigating. There's a couple documentaries available on the internet if you want to watch, including interviews from the families that we've seen a little bit of today clip-wise. But is there anything that you guys were interested in potentially asking? Beautiful. Barely Functional said, there's a guy online who saves bodies underwater like that. It's really awesome. I gotta find his name. It's really cool to see people who do those old like shipwreck investigations and stuff too. I don't know if you've ever seen those, it's not like a submarine diver. I don't know what you call them, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. Chili said, all of those sound like great changes. Hopefully they're able to get most of those changes made except the auto-locking gangways. That sounds potentially very dangerous. Well, I think auto-locking gangways for a potential like missing person situation though just means that like people would have to be searched. It doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be unable to disembark the ship. They would just have to undergo a search first, which I feel like is fair. Rustaroni said, I'm happy to see you thriving, Zay. I'm not around when you're usually streaming, but I try to catch the replays. Good to see you too, Rustaroni. I'm happy to see you. Thank you, thank you. Also, Amanda, you wrote something in the chat. So now that we've hit our true crime topic for the day, if you guys were just here for the true crime, I'm going to talk about a little bit of random stuff now, but have you guys heard the new announcement for the Adventure Time spin-off show? So there's been 2 Adventure Time spin-off shows announced this year. First off, it's the Adventure Time prequel show, which is like Adventure Time, what is it called? Adventure Time prequel show. Let me look it up. Adventure Time side quest. Here, let me show you guys the poster for it. Bam! So Adventure Time side quest. So first, I saw that this was announced, and this comes out in like 4 days, so I'll probably end up watching this maybe in the VC if you guys want to watch it with me. We'll see. But then, okay, I was like, that's cool. Not like, a prequel show is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like how they make Finn look in this art style. I actually kind of like the art style itself. It's obviously not classic Adventure Time, but I can appreciate like a change in art style over different shows. I don't like how Finn looks though. I'm gonna be real, his eyes are too close together. But then they announced this show, I think it was like yesterday or a couple days ago. They announced this. HBO Max posted Princess Bubblegum and Marceline are getting their own spin-off series. So they're gonna make a show literally called Adventure Time, Bubblegum and Marceline. Can I be really real with you guys? I'm about to potentially piss some people off. Fiona and Cake is the worst Adventure Time spin-off. And there's not even that many. But that's the thing, Fiona and Cake's not good. Season 1 of Fiona and Cake was alright. Can I be honest? Season 2 was some weird trash. It felt like I was watching people talk more about, like, their feelings. Like, that's not what Adventure Time's about. Adventure Time was a show that would teach you lessons through fun adventures, okay? Fiona and Cake is about teaching you lessons, and maybe you'll get a fun adventure. I don't want that. I am not watching it to see Fiona just be a fucking I'm gonna be real. She's so unlikable. She's just a really hateable character. I fucking don't like Fiona at all. None of the characters in Fiona and Cake for me were likable. And then I'm getting the vibe though that Bubblegum and Marceline is gonna be the exact same vibe as Fiona and Cake. Why? Fiona and Cake is all about the relationships. Call it what it is. That is literally what the show's about. It's made to be fan service, shippy content for people that want to ship, like, I don't know, whoever the fuck. I can't remember people's names right now. But, like, and a lot of it, too, is because they're putting a lot more LGBTQ characters than were originally in the Adventure Time series. Not saying there weren't LGBTQ characters in Adventure Time. They added, like, double the amount. But it feels like it's in a fan service way. If it was like that's what I appreciated about Adventure Time. They would bring in like an LGBTQ character in whatever form, and it would seem like it wouldn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't matter because it was so casual. Like, they treated them like normal people. Fiona and Cake feels like they're treating LGBTQ characters like it's a spectacle, like it's something you're supposed to look at. Like, it's like, be happy we put this in there for you. Like, oh, look at your fan service. Whereas OG Adventure Time, it would include it because it would just naturally be like a character's progression, or like you would always like question. There were characters in the OG Adventure Time. People would be like, are they trans? You can't really tell because there's been like question. Like, you know what I'm saying? They ruined that. Sorry. This is just an opinion. This is just really an opinion. I'm just really opinionated about this. And I'm worried that Bubblegum and Marceline is literally just going to be a fan service show. Jillian throws some bubblegum and Marcy are my favorite, so I'm hoping same. I love BMO's my favorite character, but Marceline second favorite character. Never really was the biggest fan of bubblegum, but I love Marceline. So I will absolutely be watching this show, but I'm just worried that we're getting too many spin-off shows, because I don't know if you guys know, these aren't the only spin-off shows. There is also a preschool toddler show that is supposed to come out, I think, in a year or two. That's like BMO's World, which is supposed to be for like 4-year-olds. So like, at what point have they made enough spin-off shows of one show and can just move on? Just let Pendleton write a new story. Okay, let's do a spin-off show. Stop using the same characters. Why don't they write it about Shermie and Beth? Or why don't they write it about Tree Trunks or any of the other characters in the Land of Oop? Like, even Fiona and Cake, it's like they can't let go of Finn and Jake. It's got to be Fiona and Cake, you know what I'm saying? Because they're spinning him off. Like, frick, man. Frick. Sorry, I'm very passionate about that. It's enough slices! It's enough fucking slices, Big Porky. That's what I'm fucking saying. This is my favorite show in the world, so I'm very passionate about this. I can't love Tree Trunks. She's kind of weird. She made Finn very uncomfortable. Tree Trunks cooking show, though, would eat. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, the BMO show for toddlers, that's something I can get behind. Why? Because it's a spin-off show that has nothing to do with the actual Adventure Time storyline. It's like talking about BMO, and it's made for little kids. So it's not even for the same, like, wavelength, right? And they tried to pitch Fiona and Cake like that. They tried to pitch Fiona and Cake like it was for adults. Let's be honest. Fiona and Cake is for adults the same way, like, Euphoria is for adults. Most adults are not watching Fiona and Cake and being like, this is fucking grade A. Most people that are watching that thinking it's grade A are like edgy teenagers. That's really what it. I don't mean it like that. You can like Fiona and Cake. I'm not shitting on you for that. I'm saying, like, the people who would put Fiona and Cake over OG Adventure Time are edgy teenagers. Exile said, how did we get to Midmo? Well, I finished a deep dive, and I wanted to talk about the new Adventure Time spin-offs that are coming out, because there's one that comes out in 4 days, and then they just announced the Bubblegum and Marceline. Also, how are you going to put one adventure... This is another thing of grinding my fucking gears up the fucking wall, bitch. How is one fucking spin-off on HBO Max and one fucking spin-off on Hulu and Disney? Are we just selling the property to anyone who asks for it at this point? We're just like, let's just give the Good Adventure Time name to no one, to anyone who asks for it. Christ. Chanton Yan said, new Hell of a Boss season coming soon. Dude, I honestly need to catch up on... I only watched season 1 of Hell of a Boss, and I actually really liked it. And I need to go back and finish watching all that shit. Yeah, because there's the 2. What's the other one called? I didn't even finish, but I actually really enjoyed it, so I probably should finish it. It feels embarrassing to watch on my TV, though. Like, I have to watch it on my phone. I'm like, if he walked in on me watching that, that'd be really embarrassing. Has Been. Oh, wait, no, Has Been's the one I watched. I watched season 1 of Has Been Hotel. I still need to watch season 2 of Has Been Hotel, which I'm pretty sure there's 3 seasons of Has Been Hotel now, and then I need to go back and watch Hell of a Boss. BMO is not mid. BMO's like the best Adventure Time character. Hands down. Chanton Yan said, yeah, sorry, I feel like they are the same kind of people who went overboard with Homestuck. Yo, Homestuck, don't get me started on that. My sister was like way too obsessed with Homestuck. I remember, I don't know shit about Homestuck, but she really liked that. And I drew her like a picture of Nepeta for her birthday one year. Oh, Exile, you're streaming at 5 today. Look at you being able to catch a redirect. Lieutenant Aries said the BMO in your profile pic is so cute. I don't ever want to change it, to be honest. I love BMO. He's just a little cowboy. He's a rootin' tootin' guy. How could you ever be sad if you look at BMO? Big Porky said Brandon Rogers is fucking hilarious. Dude, I haven't thought about Brandon Rogers in a long fucking time. Joltra said that's Barry Homestuck, please. Yeah, I'm cool with that. They bring out the weird in people. That really brings out the weird in people. I think that was a lot of people's like low-key like furry awakenings. Was like cosplaying Homestuck characters. Not like they really resemble furries at all, but do you guys get what I mean in that? Or do I seem a little out of touch? I don't know. Oh shit. Malian said, Big Porky, I usually agree with you, but I think that's a terrible take. Brandon Rogers gives me Keemstar vibes. That's a shot if I've ever heard one. Oh, also, you guys, I don't know how I got reminded of this, but we have a gaming event coming up this Sunday for the Little Smoky. So if you guys are interested in playing with us, all you have to do is make sure that you have a Little Smokies, a membership or higher. Hot Dog Gang is the beginning tier, Little Smokies is the middle tier, and then Glizzy General is the top tier. So if you're interested in playing that, we're going to be playing Mecha Chameleon probably again, because I'm not going to lie, it's just so much fun, and I really want to play Mecha Chameleon again with you guys. I really enjoyed it. So come play Mecha Chameleon with us this weekend. Also, I am going to be doing a horror game this weekend, so tomorrow I'm going to be putting up the poll for that. If you guys wanted to get any suggestions in, no guarantee that your suggestion will end up on this week's poll, but it will probably end up on a poll eventually, so definitely get your suggestions in for what games you'd want me to play. And what else? Oh yeah, tomorrow we're spinning the movie wheel, so make sure you get your movies in. The priority wheel only has 3 picks on it, so it'll only be, I don't know, a couple more weeks to spin in the priority wheel, but we've got like 59 picks or so on the regular wheel, so make sure you got your movie picks in to spin. There's quite a couple repeats on there, so Jill said it's okay. I'm a little quinge. It's okay. We're all a little quinge. I feel like you can't be on the internet and not be a little bit quinge. Oh, book club is the silent patient. Yes, that's another important announcement. If you guys are interested in joining book club, it's not like a monetary thing. Like, I'm not taking money for books or anything. We all just decide and vote together. And if you want to join book club, you can. It's up to you. You can just decide to read if there's books that you like or whatever, whatnot. But you can get a book club role and get added to the book club chat if you're interested in that. It's a totally free role. You can get added to the Discord. God, my tab just crashed. Why does it say Gah? Like, I literally picture it like, princess, your tab has crashed. That's how I picture it saying it to me. Can I be honest? Gah! Golly! You better let us restore that tab. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't help myself. Chandanian said, I think so. I remember he was promoted on Shane Dawson's channel and then he wasn't anymore. Oh, jeepers, your tab, princess. Gee willikers. Your tab. It's crashing, princess. Let me save it. So fucking, I can't fucking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Oh, Maligan said, oh, damn, that shit's crazy. Straza said, what time for Chameleon? What time works for you guys in the UK? What time would work for UK people the best? Let me know, because I could work around your schedule for Sunday, because I'm pretty open this Sunday. You know what? Fuck you, Exile. Fuck you. Docket team, add him to the emo iceberg. That's I don't think, does he apply? I don't think he applies on the emo iceberg, to be honest. There is a chance. Fuck. I was gonna do the fucking TikTok diagnosis iceberg tomorrow, but I might put that off another week just because I think there's some drama going on that I want to cover. I've seen a couple things. So tomorrow might be like a mixed day instead of hitting like one major topic where we hit like 3 or 4 different things going on YouTube, because there's a little bit of things that are interesting me. Miss Nanner said probably a bad time to say I leave for my cruise next week. As long as it's not the Rhapsody of the Seas, you're good. Lieutenant Aries said he had the emo hair close enough. That just because you had emo flippy hair, that's like implying that Shane Dawson is emo. Or Onision. That's like implying that Onision is emo because they had the flippy hair. That's just like crazy slander. Anybody had that haircut back then? That was just like a popular early 2000s boy haircut. When they didn't want to cut their hair, they just shook it a little to the side. Chandon Yan said Shane promoting that creep Kiro even after all that. Wait, what? Maybe I don't want to know. Maybe I really don't want to know. Sometimes I live in blissful ignorance. Alrighty, y'all. Well, I'm triple checking to make sure the redirect is put in. I'm gonna be getting you guys sent over to Exile Warriors channel. I think, what are you playing today, Yoshi? I think it's Yoshi, it said. Nope. What the fuck is he playing? What the fuck are you playing? Man, I don't even know what to tell you. It's something with Godzilla, man. If you like Godzilla, go watch Exile. Anyways, I've got to figure out how to drive. That's gonna be my fucking... Nah, but I don't know. I'm figuring out this whole driver school thing, man. I'll let you know how shit's going. But, I gotta go figure some shit out. Ooh. A members only? Oh. I got excited. I was like, who's members only? Damn it. Why do I get gifted memberships to channels I don't want? Damn it. I got excited. Anyways, I'm sending you guys over to Exile Warrior. He's gonna be playing some Godzilla Pixel whatever game. I don't know what it is, though. That's the sad part. I really don't know what it is, and I was hoping he'd come in the chat by now and answer me on what it is, but he didn't. So anyways, I'll see you guys again tomorrow. And remember, if you have any topics or game suggestions you want to put in, because tomorrow we are voting on the horror game.